Hello, everyone. Welcome to Abnormal Investigations. I hope everybody's doing all right tonight. We have a special guest with us tonight, and I think y'all is going to really enjoy what we're going to be talking about tonight. Got a few things I wanted to say before we get everything kicked off. Looks like we got quite a few people in here already. Y'all are going to get a very good show tonight as Shel is going to share more of her encounters for this October Blast month that we're having, our October Blast month, I guess. We got Peter McPhee in here, Michelle McGuire, Dana Affliction. We got Bohica. I think I said that there's Dana. We got Robbie's in here. We got Emmy in here. Tim's in here moderating. Good to see you, Tim. Nancy's in here. Good to see you, Nancy. Michelle McGuire is in the house. Vicky, it is good to see you. Emmy Tongue, good to see you. Scared Silly, good to see you. A lot of familiar faces in here tonight. Good to see everybody. If I missed anybody, I'm sure I will end up throwing your name up during the show. Let's see. Don't see any new ones coming in right yet. There's CRJ's in here tonight. Good to see you, CRJ. All right, guys. So, Patreon and members only. Coming up the 19th. Is that? Yeah, the 19th. The Patreon and members only show we done with Shel, which would have been up around, let me see here, I believe it was the 9th. We're going to go ahead and release that to you guys as a premiere, so you guys are all going to have access to that on the 19th. But there is also some more Patreon and member videos going to be coming out. So if you're not a Patreon or member video or a member, you're not going to be able to see those, because on the 26th of this month, we have a members only Boots on the Ground coming out again. So that will be a members only Boots on the Ground coming out again. Hey, Larry, good to see you, man. Glad you be able to make it. Another thing we got coming up is on the 17th of this month, we have Tyler, which will be the next one. He's going to be coming on live to tell us his story. He'll be on October 17th with us. He will be on live. We are on pace, guys, right now. After, I believe, tomorrow night, we're Boots on the Ground. We're going to be on pace for 29,500 subscribers on this channel. I am very pleased with that number. I never thought we would ever be this high, but I believe after tomorrow night, guys, we're going to be on pace for that 29.5 and then working on 30,000 subscribers for this channel. Can you believe it? I mean, we're only 30,000 guys, and we are kicking butt on our Boots on the Ground. It is huge what we're doing, Boots on the Ground. Cluff's in here tonight. Good to see you, Cluff. Glad you was able to make it. Bohica, good to see you. Another thing, see, we mentioned that. Today, I went and done something pretty cool. I went and recorded on location at a place where we received an encounter. That will be released Monday. So if you want to watch that one, it will be released Monday as a video. I actually went on location for that one today. We got Ryan Tremblay, thank you for becoming a member tonight. Glad to have you. Everybody, Ryan Tremblay is a new member. Then we got donations by Tim Wrestler and Grace. Thank you guys for that. God bless you for that. Before I bring Randy on, I would like to say 2 years ago today, a bunch of evil people got together and conspired to have Hunter removed from his home. I made the mistake of saying that one of my worst fears would be losing my son. Well, the devil was listening. But guys, we are on the path now to bringing him back home. It has been a long 2 years. Their lies and deceitfulness are being brought to the light every day as we have people coming forward that are bringing tangible evidence. Evidence that we believe may do more than bring him home. It may cause other things to start happening in the legal system. I cannot go into that. But what we have got has been just astounding. And tangible evidence is always a very, very good thing. And we have received a lot of it. So, yeah, it's been a long road. It's been a hard road. But you all have stood with me through the whole thing. You all have been here. And with your all's help, we will continue to grow this channel against the odds, where we speak the truth and not blasphemy or perversion of God's word, but how God said it and how God meant it, not some way that we want it to be. We do it as God said. We don't write it how we want it to be. But I just wanted to say, please keep Hunter and my family in your thoughts and in your prayers. It means a lot to us. All right, guys. We want to go ahead and bring Randy on here, and then we will start getting this show going. Thank you very much, Jacqueline. I appreciate that. What's up, Randy?
Beautiful day in paradise. Can you
That's
hear
right,
me?
Kelly. I'm glad you. I can hear you, and I'm glad you haven't got 8 yet. That's always a plus.
Oh, they're not going to eat me. They like me. Strangers wandering up here, I'm concerned about.
I tell you what, I wonder about a lot of things sometimes, but sometimes it ain't just the cryptids I worry about. It might be my sister next door.
You know, probably the worst people turning on you is family. You know, when family sticks you in the back, that's kind of rough.
Well, you know the old saying, who needs enemies when you got family, right?
Yeah.
Peter McPhee, thank you very much for that super sticker. Appreciate that. And God bless you. Infinite Seven, good to see you here tonight, man. It's always good to see you also. Larry, I think I said your name. Grace, I think I said your name because Grace, she donated tonight. So thank you very much for that, Grace. So, Randy, we got one of our favorite people back here tonight. I say one of our favorite people because we do have a lot of great people we have on this show. Clough, thank you for that donation also. God bless you for that too.
All I can say is some of the information that she shared with me was just mind blowing and confirmed some of the things that I've encountered. So it's like she's spot on in some of this stuff. And I'm just blown away. Just letting y'all know that from the last time. So there's no telling what she's sharing tonight. So this is going to be interesting. I'm looking forward to tonight's episode of Fright Night with Mike. Thank you, everybody.
It is our October Blast month, right? We can't let anybody down.
Oh, guys, we came home tonight, and on our screen door is a banana spider. Now, it wasn't there when we left, but when we came home from town, it had spun a web, and it's on our screen door, and we're leaving it there because it's perfect for Halloween. It's about this big around. It's like that. It's huge.
Oh, wow.
I'll get to see a picture of it after this.
Does it taste like bananas?
I've never tried to eat one, but that's what they're called. Tell you what, you can make some banana spider soup, and I'd try that with you, but you got to eat it first.
No, I don't think I can handle that. Bohica, I have lost some weight, bro. Glad you noticed. That makes me feel better. I've been doing a lot of walking and working out again and stuff. I appreciate that. I'm not quite as strong as the Iron Bear, but I'm trying. Larry Fisher, I appreciate that 1999 donation. Yep, that's what it is. Larry, thank you so much for that. God bless you for that. Oh man, I tell you what. I am ready to get this show on the road, guys. So let's go ahead and everybody please welcome Shel to the October Blast month. Hello, Shel.
Hi, good evening to everyone. Hi, Randy.
Hey, Shel, welcome to the show. Glad you could make it.
Thanks.
How's it shaking?
Well, I don't know if you noticed by some of my content, but it's been very active at my place. Very active.
I've seen you've been posting a lot of things. So you think it has anything to do with this month and the energy in the air that everybody's giving it, or do you think it's just a coincidence? Or
No, going from research, from years of it, decades of it, this time of year is always really busy. You've got a lot of the Sasquatch moving through, like migrating to the south for the winter, and I don't know, it just kicks up a lot of activity.
as long as you're safe, that's the main thing.
Yeah, it's questionable at times. I will say that,
I seen a
but I'm
So have you
still
been
Bigfoot out
here.
here. I had a sighting
have you been
last
turning?
night.
Go ahead, Mike.
I had a sighting last night of Bigfoot here at my mom's house, but when I ran in to grab the camera, it was just Sarah coming over to visit. So I did.
Now, remember, you're trying to sweet talk her into coming with you, and now you're making fun of her.
I can't get them to go out with me, Randy. I beg and beg and beg, and I plead, and they will not go out with me. I think that they might be
Maybe
a
you need to be nice for a period of time, not for just a day or two, Mike.
that's hard to
Maybe
do.
and maybe let her know that, hey, if you come with me, I'm going to listen to you, unlike the last time where I didn't. And you need to apologize to her for not listening to her, because she would have saved you from getting whacked in the head when she told you to stop mocking them and you didn't listen. I don't blame her. I wouldn't go with you either after that.
You hear what I put up
And
with,
she
Shell?
told you to stop.
See what they do to me. They all just gang up on me, and they just take advantage of me, and just little old me.
If
Yep,
that
poking the
episode,
bear.
Shell, she was warning him to stop. She warned him 2 or 3 times to stop mocking them. And after the third time, he got whacked in the head. And that's on video, too, so I'm not making this up.
So what's been going on at your house, Shell? Before we jump into your stories, what have you been having happen?
Um, just a lot of like I'll go out there in the wee hours. I wanted to share this with you. Your last live was a full moon, and there is a reason why it's less active on the full moon, but it's not like a permanent thing on that night. The Sasquatch people will become more active in the wee hours because they actually have something that they do that's like ritualistic that other people like come together for on a full moon before they ever like scatter out and like do their own thing. And you kept saying you could hear them off in the distance, like they were away. Well, that's because they're grouped up in an area um, away from everybody and away from possible humans coming in contact with them because they actually put themselves in areas where they know that they'll come in contact with us. I mean, that's deliberate. That's it's not something that is just random.
Right. So, have you been like? Are they coming all the way up to your house, or are they spying on you?
Yeah, well, I was out there the other night. I went out on the full moon after your live. I think it was about 12:30, 1 o'clock in the morning. And I went out and I just, just sat out there in the dark. And they just kept, I was getting crazy videos of eye shine and stuff like the eye glow that, man, I don't even know what it was. I don't think it was Bigfoot and I don't think it was Dogman, but I was getting stuff that on video and then taking some stills of it and just crazy noises like I've never heard before. I've been blown away by it. And they were moving up closer, 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 closer. When they started really impinging on me and getting within, 15 feet, I was like, all right, no, I'm done for the night. I was getting cold anyway. I was out there for like a good 2.5, 3 hours.
I don't blame you. Just like what Tyler said, Kaylee was eye shine, eye shine, eye shine. We had
Yeah.
a lot of eye shine that night. Tyler will never let that go. So what do you got going on? We're doing the Halloween blast, and we want to hear some of your scariest encounters, or some of your, scary thoughts, or just anything that's just abnormal, Shell. That's what we're looking for.
I got that for you. The last show we did that's Patreon and members only that you're going to release on the 19th, that was pretty much my scariest ever. I mean, I come close to getting it then. Um,
Right.
but tonight I've got some stuff, and then I'll throw in some cute little stories here and there that might make some viewers laugh. I do want to say this before we get started. Um, I can't see the chat, so you're going to have to help me if somebody's asking questions. Now, how I respond is I may have to say, you know what, contact me, because I definitely don't need the MI on my case. I've been down that road with all this stuff, especially the when it comes to the dogman stuff, and so I got to be careful what I do say on a live and out there in the realm of the Ethernet. So, and any of your people know this, my people know it, but any story that I talk about here, if they want to see the evidence that goes along with those stories, or if they want to see more footage or they want to hear more, just contact me, send me a message and, a friend request, and I'll go there with them. I'm not shy about that, but I am shy about how I get that information to them.
Right. Yeah, I don't blame you for that. Because
Yeah,
once
I've
it's
been
out
down those
there,
roads. Yeah,
it's out there.
it's not fun to deal with those guys. So,
Yeah.
um,
Oh,
so without further ado, I'll start this off with a kind of funny story because one of your viewers has asked me numerous times that I would share the story on a live, and I've never done it, and they think it's absolutely hilarious, and it is. So going back in time, I was going through a divorce. My dad had died. I was staying with my mom, trying to help her understand what's out there and get a coexisting thing going on to where she wasn't so fearful that I couldn't go on with life and, move away from her and her still feel somewhat safe, which it took a couple years. I mean, she still is nervous around
yeah.
all of this stuff. But like I did tell you on that last interview, they put my mom through the paces, when I was a kid. So, there's some pretty intense stuff. So we were having like some bonfires out in her backyard, and a research friend of mine come over, or a couple would come over, and we just sat out there. We, listen to them or take any interaction we could get out of them, when they give it. This was back in the day. This was decades ago, and there was this one local that had seen a Bigfoot run out in front of his car, and it was literally headed towards my house. And he did what most people would do. He was in shock. He called the police. They thought he was joking. But he also reached out to my cousin, which, they grew up together and stuff. And so he contacted me, and um, he said, yeah, he says, over there by this ballpark graveyard area where there's some woods and stuff, he lived in that area too. He was on the very road. He was only like 6 blocks away from home when this happened, and he had said that he'd been hearing the howls, the screams, the craziness that you hear, and he wanted to know more about it and understand it. And I said, well, you know what? Why don't you come over and sit around the campfire with us, and I'll educate you. You can talk to my researcher friends and stuff. And one of those things was to tell him not to like blab this in the small community and get everybody terrified. Make him understand they are a people, quite different than humans, but there's definitely, they have children, they have lives, they have routines, they have, beliefs, just a language, all that stuff that goes along with teaching somebody that what they are. And so he came. It was a cold November night, and it started to rain on us right after we got there. And he had brought himself a gallon of vodka. Well, in the midst of it starting to rain and it's freezing out, and then the wind started blowing, I didn't really think about what I agreed to or where this was going to happen. But he asked, he had not opened it yet. It was a sealed lid. He says, hey, he says, if we're going to do this tomorrow night, can I just take this and set this over here by this tree where this bush is? And I'm like, oh, yeah, that's fine. And he said, well, tomorrow night, he says, it'll help us stay warm. I'll get it out tomorrow night. I'm like, no, that's fine. So he goes and he puts this gallon of vodka over there. And I didn't think about it, but all summer long, this had been a place, there was a cinder block sitting over there. And I don't even know why that cinder block was there, but they had been stealing water bottles, and they would fill it with creek water and they'd set it inside that cinder block. Or you'd find a can of Pepsi that they stole or something, and they'd set it there. I guess so when they were running around in our local area, they would have something to drink. Well, I didn't even think about that. I forgot about them using that area. And he puts this vodka over there. Well, I went in the house, went to bed, and my mom woke me up about 3 a.m. And she's like, what are they doing? And she's all in this panic. And I'm like, what do you mean? And she's like, come to the back of the house, come to my room. And so I go in there, and you can hear them out in the field, and it's a big guy, and he is roaring in laughter. Whoa, he's just going on and on and on. And she's like, what is he doing? She's like, he's going to wake up everyone that's even within a mile of here. And I said, yeah, I don't know. Well, the next night when we all gathered up again and we're going to have this bonfire, this kid comes over and he goes back to that bush to get his vodka, and the lid is off it and it's completely empty. So we literally had a drunk Bigfoot. And I can just be thankful he was not an angry drunk, that he was a giggly drunk. But it was quite entertaining for us to look back on that and go, wow, that's funny.
That is pretty interesting too, because Tennessee, Kentucky Bigfoot, we had them on the show, and at one of their gifting locations, a Sasquatch gifted them some whiskey. So that is interesting.
Really? That's
Yeah,
interesting for sure.
yeah, they brought them some
Where did
whiskey and other things.
they get the
So,
whiskey from?
yeah, in those hills, who knows? They
The
take it out of
fishermen,
the back.
the
Yeah, take
fishermen
it out
they
of
ate.
somebody's bag.
Or did
So,
somebody trade whiskey with them?
yeah, I would be careful doing that. Can you imagine, like, one of their young, like, drinking it and getting, like, alcohol poisoning or something? No, I wouldn't. I don't think I'd go there.
Yeah, yeah,
They start
exactly. But
vomiting and stuff like that. They think that you poisoned them, and now they got it out for you. No, no, no. I'm not going to do
Yep.
that.
yeah, but Bohica said, are they good tippers?
I don't know. I don't. I don't. I don't go down the gifting road with them. I have my reasons. It's all from experience, and I just don't think that they need us. They don't need us to be gifting them. There's nothing that we can give them that they really need. Um, just it's better just leave them be. Go out there
Yeah,
and
I think
experience whatever you're going to experience. But and another thing, I'm going to bring this up. Then we'll get into some scary stories. But people have it in their heads that they're gifting a Bigfoot. Well, I can't even tell you the hundreds of videos or shows that I see where people got this gifting spot or gifting rock, and the way they have it set up, you know, it could have been a squirrel, could have been a raccoon. Raccoons are really great at getting things open and doing things. I mean, there's real no um, concrete proof that it's Bigfoot doing it and taking the stuff or whatever. And so I don't know. I don't put a lot of stock into the things that I'm told that's happening at their gifting spots unless they have something that's really affirmative, like they caught it on game trail or something like that. Then I'm more apt to go, okay, yeah, that was Bigfoot then. But I just don't
and
go
when you're
for it.
this and when you're the size of Bigfoot, I mean, you really don't need to be gifted. If you want it, you just take it, right?
Right. Yeah, there's nothing that really we have that they absolutely need. I mean, if I've ever gifted them, it's not going to be food. I would gift them things that they've stolen. They used to steal out of my car all the time, and they would take things like a hairbrush. They would take, they love twine. Back when we had the horses, uh, we would have twine hanging on a nail. When you undo the bales, you just hang it on a nail, and then a week or two, you scoop them up, take them, you throw them out. Well, somebody would just take the whole bunch of them, and then you would find the twine used when they're tying their structures together, or their rudimentary way of building something. They would use the twine. So yeah, twine is a thing that they'll take. If you leave a spool of twine out there, they'll take off with it. But once again, it's like you got no proof of who's actually taking it besides you end up seeing a structure with it made, and you could put two and two together, but that's not concrete. But those are the types of things. I've left balls out for the little ones, not small, definitely not marbles, definitely not things like that that little ones could choke on, because once again, you get into a situation where you've made an enemy out of them. And people just need to use their heads. They really do. But besides all that, let's get into some scary stories. So I can't hear you, Mike.
Sorry, I'm muted. I got kids running. I was going to say, be careful if you're gifting balls out because you might end up catching a jowls. You never know what's going to come up. Uh,
Yeah.
I have something for you that I think that you might like also. I went today to a location to where there was an actual man attacked within the last 3 weeks by a Bigfoot in his camper. And I went to the location today and actually read his encounter. And this guy actually, he was in, those little campers, a pull behind camper, and it actually broke in his door, grabbed him by the leg, and tried to pull him out of the camper in the middle of the night. And he's got 3 long, deep cuts down his leg. He's actually healing right now. So I went to that location during the daylight, and I think I'm going to go visit it maybe tomorrow night for the boots on the ground.
I'll be there.
I'm gonna go down there and see what I'm gonna drop the actual daylight interview I done Monday. It'll drop Monday, so you can see the area in the
Hey, Mike,
daylight. Yeah,
do we have any backstory on what happened on his encounter? Was that all it
he
was? Was he was asleep? Did he
he
do
was
anything that we know of?
just camping, trying to get away. He was needing some time out. He was depressed and just was going to take 3 or 4 days just to go down there and be alone and do some fishing. You know, he was just asleep. I think he said it was like 2 o'clock in the morning. He heard something scratching on the side of the trailer, And he said he heard like a humming noise, like a low humming noise, and he thought it was actually a boat out on the lake. And the door all of a sudden ripped open, grabbed him by the leg, and starts trying to pull him out of the camper. He's like grabbing everything he can in there to keep this thing from pulling him out of the camper in the middle of the dark. And it ripped. If he'll let me show the pictures of his leg, I'll show it. His leg looks bad. It looks like you took 3 box blades, put them as far apart as your fingers, and ran them from just below your knee down past your ankle bone.
And he was
Yeah.
sure this was Bigfoot and not something else.
He says it looked just like, whenever it looked in the window, it looked just like, he said, a part man, part ape. He said it looked like a monkey, but it was so human looking that he said all I could do was just like a cat. He said I just like was just staring at it. He said I couldn't even move. I was just like looking at it. And he said it smiled at him through the window when they looked at each other eye to eye before it busted the door open.
Ugh. You know, I
Yeah.
had a run-in one time with something, people call it like the mountain giant, a Bigfoot that is extremely large, whatever. This thing was not as wide and bulky as most of the Bigfoot, but it was tall, lankier. Got a photo of this event. We used to have, I don't know what you want to call it, but some people call them little people or something like that. This thing was like 3 foot tall. It always hung in the back. It made these little like forts and structures, and you'd see him out there, and he'd be peeking at us and stuff. I've got footage of him, but so my dog took off on me, and that was out of character for her. She was wanting to exit our area, and so she took off running down the field. And I'm like, "What are you doing? You know, this was a well-behaved dog. Why is she doing this?" So I run after her, and I finally catch her, and I'm getting her back to my property, and I'm walking back towards there. And so all I had was this old cell phone at the time. It was like a Samsung 7, a Samsung 9, something like that. But I see something moving along through the trees, and it's got like this tall like stick, and it honest to God, it did not look like the rest of the Bigfoot I was used to. This thing looked like a monkey. It looked like a chimp in the face, but yet human too. And it had taken the head off of that 3 foot tall little man and had stuck it on top of this like staff, and it was like dripping blood, and he leans it towards me like, look what I did, and he just smiled at me. And then I realized, oh my God, this is why my dog was running away, was because that thing was getting unalived,
Right.
and all that was going on, and my dog probably picked up on it, smelled the blood, all that kind of thing, something that I didn't pick up on. And I didn't see it because every time I would go out there, I'm not purposely looking for them. I have a life that's bigger than just, you know, all the stuff that I experienced. So I took a quick picture so that I could look at it closer later, and I got inside. I don't like to take pictures when it's very sunny out or high noon or anything like that. You get a lot of leaf shine and shadows and, stuff like that. And this was like mid afternoon. I want to say it was around 2, 3 o'clock in the afternoon that happened. But yeah, that was pretty intensely scary. I was very cautious then, knowing that thing was moving around out there, and just the wicked way that it smiled at me. Yeah, it's pretty unforgettable.
We had a lady, Shell, the other day. Randy's gonna like this for Halloween. We had a lady the other day, and I was talking to her. She was fishing down at one of the bridges, and we got to talking about, I told her what I was doing because I had all my equipment, and most normal people don't walk down there, with a GoPro light strapped all over you and everything. And she's like, "What are you doing?" I told her, I was down there investigating. And she got to talking. And she's like, "You want to hear something weird?" And I was like, "Sure." She's like, "My mom lived by herself down in the old part of the town, the old area before it flooded. And this has been," she said, "a few years back. And she kept telling us that Bigfoot was standing at the edge of the woods. And whenever she would look at him, she could hear him talk, but he wasn't talking. And he kept telling her, I'm going to get you. And that's all he would say, I'm going to get you. And it was really scaring her to the point where she borrowed her son's 308 rifle. Well, she called her daughter one night and she said, I done it. I finally done it. I took a shot at him. I think I finally took care of him. 3 nights later, she went to check on her mom because she hadn't heard from her. And they found her deceased laying in the kitchen floor with the phone up to her ear, and she had a huge grip on her phone. So they always
And
wondered if it came up and, scared her to death. She died of a heart attack.
yeah, I was just gonna say, was there autopsy or whatever? Yeah, that's interesting. There's been times that I don't scare easy. I'm a really cool-headed person. I guess that comes from years working ER and stuff like that. You just pretty calm through most things. But there have been times that it's just been almost just more than I could stand as far as the fright goes. You know, um, I'm gonna tell you about this one place that I grew up going. It was only a mile from where we had our horses, and we would fish on this creek at this bridge. It was the same place that I told you that that one had grabbed me by the ankle, that there was the three dead rabbits. I went down there. I was going to check out to see what, look everything more closely. And I didn't know it was underneath the bridge, and it grabbed my ankle and flipped me in the air. And that's the place. So this place used to be a mild place. It used to be a fun place to go. It was where, I grew up going fishing out there. I took my kids fishing out there. I go with my mom, and it was not the scary place to go, but it just gradually was getting worse and worse and worse. And so I had some encounters. I always went print hunting out there. I always got some really good casts from the Bigfoot out there, but I finally started, getting other casts from other big things. But this one time I had, and then we're going back to like about 2013, 14, somewhere in there. Um, I had this one gal that lived here in Illinois, and she wanted to learn more about them. She was starting to have some interactions at her house and stuff, and she insisted on coming to visit me and talk to me in person. And I said, yeah, sure. So she was going to come to my house and stay for the weekend, and she says, well, can you take me to that place that you've been getting the prints? And I said, yeah, sure, but we're not going to go there at night. It was just proving to be way too dangerous. And I was not, and I never have been one to teach about dogmen because it's such a broad subject and there's so many different kinds, so many different types and stuff like that. How could I ever claim to know so much about this species that we really just cannot get close to? So I just told her that I've got evidence of that out there in the area, and you need to listen to me if I'm going to take you out there, and that we need to be out of there before dark because this is like late afternoon in the fall that she shows up and she wants to go right then. So we went out there and was sitting on the edge of the bridge, and she was just asking different questions, and some of the conversation would get involved, and time was starting to get away from me, and the sun was starting to go down. And I had interrupted her, and I said, look, I said, we need to leave. I was feeling it. I just get this, I don't know what it is, like a sixth sense about me. When the negative stuff is around, I feel it. And I was definitely feeling it. It was just a dread that was coming over me. And I just wanted to get out of there and get her out of there. And she had electric car, and I was not really familiar with. I'd never really rode in one or been around an electric car. She was insistent on she be the one to drive, so I'm like, okay. So there's this little pull off that it's like a little drive that the farmer uses to get into the field that goes along this creek. And we had been up on that bridge, and we walked back to her car, and there out in front of where she was parked, there's a a big deep mud puddle, and I've got the pictures of the prints there. There was some 22-inch prints, left and right foot, walking through that muddy puddle area. But it had been too muddy to cast because if it doesn't have like dermal ridges and stuff like that, I'm not even going to bother with it because you could just collect casts and collect casts and collect casts. I mean, and if it's not something tangible, then why go through all the hassle, the time, the money, and the aggravation? Because a lot of these beings don't want their feet casted, and they'll give you a rough time. So I had not mentioned to her about those prints, but the second we sat down in the car, she's like, "Oh," she goes, "Look at that in front of the car. Is that some prints?" And I said, "Yeah, but they're really old, and they're not worth looking at. They're not, they're not that good." And she jumped out of the car, and she's just all overexcited, and she's too eager. Too eager can get you into trouble, and you stop using your head. And she was too eager, and I'm saying, we really need to leave. And she takes off. She jumps out there. She leaves her car door open. I got out and left my car door open and went over there and just let her examine them and hurried up with any explanations or questions that she had, or why wouldn't you have casted this, and the stuff that beginners would ask you. And in that moment, we're about 20 feet out in front of that car, and in that moment, both car doors shut. And I looked at her and I was like, "Does your car do that on its own?" And she goes, "No." And I said, "Please tell me you have the key." And she goes, "I do. It's in my pocket." She goes, "I do have, it's like an electric car." She goes, "You don't have like keys." And I'm like, "Okay, well, get them open. We got to go." And as we were approaching the car, there's sand all around it. And I was literally watching Dogman prints be made in front of me, but you couldn't see it. You could see the print forming, and it was just intense to get in the car and leave. Now, moving up to that date, one of the reasons I had told her, and I was so cautious in that area, I had just been out there like a week or two before this with my dog, and my dog was acclimated to all the crazy stuff. She was good with it. Um, she got down, and this is a dog that had never messed in my house from puppy on. She was just very, very well trained. She got down from the seat where she always wanted to co-pilot, never miss a thing, to the floorboard and was curling up and urinated on the floor mat. And so I knew something was scaring her. And as I was pulling away from that place and I see my dog doing this, something pushed down on the back of my car. I drove a Lincoln um, town car at the time, and something pushed down, and that's a big, heavy car, and it literally pushed down on the whole car and just like rocked it. They're air rides, so it's got some float to it when you push down on it,
Right.
and it would take somebody very strong. And so after that, I have a friend of mine that's a really big guy. I said, "Hey," I said, "I'm going to get in my car and I'm going to have you push down on the trunk. I just want to see how much force you can push on my car." And he did it, and it felt like somebody threw a bag of dog food in the back end. It didn't feel like, wow, 1,000 pounds just sat down on my trunk, because that was how it felt. And so when I'm thinking about this while I'm watching these prints be made in front of me, and I'm thinking, those are huge. I mean, these prints were probably about 10 inches in diameter. And I'm thinking, is this the same being? Is this the one that I've been encountering out here? If it is, this is not good. And she got so shook up. She was having a hard time like backing out. And I'm just saying, calm down. We're okay. We're in the car now. The doors, windows are locked. Just take your time. Let's not back off and go into the water. So just getting her adrenaline states under control, because she was somebody new, never experienced anything like that. And she's seen the prints too. So there was more than one. There was one on her side of the car, one on my side of the car, and it shut the doors at the exact same time. You could not see these beings, but they're literally leaving these giant canine prints. So that was like really intense. Um, and these things, this was not that far from home. It was roughly 4 or 5 miles from home. And these things, when I would go out there, they would end up following you home or give you just a terrible night, slamming into the house, trying to get in the doors, shaking things, just scratching their nails on the windows, and just making you just a nervous wreck. And so, before I go any further, because I have another encounter that's from that same exact area, you have any questions?
You said, you talk about how hard they are to see. There was a night at my mom's house that something was messing around, and me and my cousin had went out. There was a tree line. It was maybe 30 yards from her front porch, and we were walking the tree line, and my mom started yelling, "It's right there! It's right there! It's right in front of you guys." We never seen it. She said it walked probably within 5 to 6 foot from us, the opposite direction than the way we was walking, but we never seen it. She said it passed right in front of us, right down the tree line. That always kind of bothered me.
And in my experience, I've been out with a lot of people different times, and just living around them, your family experiences things and stuff. And there has been more than handfuls of situations where I could see something somebody else didn't see, or they could see something I couldn't see. And it's like, are they projecting to us? Are they allowing that one person to see and let them know what they just got away with while the other one was so close to them and possibly in danger? Is that like the mind games that they're playing with us? There's questions to things we just don't have answers to yet, and maybe we never will. But this is the exact reason why I tell people not to go out in the field alone. You don't need to be by yourself, um, especially women. It
Yeah.
can get really hairy really quick, and you may need that other person to help you, or you just may need their eyes because maybe they're seeing something that you don't see, or vice versa.
Vicky had a question. She said, "Could it be possible? Let's see. I'm probably going to screw this up. A Gnoska? They like to laugh in people's faces." I'm not
Oh,
familiar with that
maybe
before.
I don't know what she's talking about either, but maybe she's talking about that instance where the man seen the smiling Bigfoot and then it attacked him, and then I seen that, and I don't even know if we're calling it the right. It looks like a monkey. It doesn't look like a typical Bigfoot that have hooded noses and stuff. So maybe this Ganaska that she's talking about is one of those. I don't know.
One of the, another story that comes to mind, Randy, I don't know if you remember this. We had a lady send an encounter in one time, and she actually poisoned a Bigfoot or a werewolf. We're not sure which one. And her husband, boyfriend, a few days later, ended up slaughtered in the cornfield, and they ended up burying him. And when they buried him, she went back like she was. No, she come up to marry him from out of country. She went to go visit the gravesite after he had got married, and they had actually placed his hat on his headstone.
Ooh, that's creepy.
Yeah. So I guess when they
That's like
poisoned him, they probably killed one or made one really sick.
Yeah. Yeah, and that goes back to
it
the
made them.
gifting and why I say we just don't need to be going there. We don't need to be gifting them food and stuff.
Another bad thing, and just to remind people of this, number one, don't ever put poison out anyways, because it's never 100% what's going to get it. And, number two is there is homeless people that will eat things that they find. So not a,
Yes.
not a smart idea.
And I see people leaving chocolate out, and you know what? Look what chocolate does to our dogs. It's probably doing that to some animals in the forest, coyotes, wolves, what you don't know what's going to get that chocolate and what kind of effect it's going to have on them because their systems aren't used to it. I mean, there's just so many things that people are not thinking about. One of my pet peeves is I can't tell you how many times I've gone to places where other researchers frequent, and I'll find a peanut butter jar and there'll be a raccoon that baked in the sun because it got its head stuck in a peanut butter jar and now it's dead. They just don't use their head when these people are so mindlessly going after Bigfoot. They don't think about what they're doing, and it's frustrating as all get out to watch that kind of stuff, and have quite a few years experience under your belt, and know and see all these things that are repetitious within the realm of people that call themselves researchers. Personally, I think we're more along the lines of experiencers. Um, so a lot of these people that choose to leave these streets and whatnot need to just back off and stop doing it. Just stop with the whole hunt of them, because I have said it 1,000 times over the years. You don't go finding Bigfoot. You go out there,
Right.
find yourself, and Bigfoot will find you. You just be. You go out there, you just be. You go out there, and I love photography. I love to fish. I love doing that kind of stuff. And 9 times out of 10, when you're out there just doing something you love, they become interested in you and what you're doing, and the next thing you know, they start interacting with you, and then you've got your experiences. Then you've got something that you're seeking, that's happening for you. Personally, when I used to go out with friends, or people that wanted to go out watching, I say that with quotes. Um, One of the things I would say is I was like, okay, on the way, we're not going to discuss them. We're not going to be thinking about them. You're not going to have this want in your head to see one. We're just going to go out and have some fun. And literally, I'll put music on that we're all going to know, and we'll sing and laugh and tell jokes and stuff like that, and get it out of your head. Because if you literally are wanting it and stuff, nothing's going to happen for you. I don't know if it's an energy thing where people like work themselves up, expecting and wanting, and then these beings are just like, oh no, they're weird. They're like, they're all after us. I don't know what it is, but I've been with a few people that you just can't get it out of them, and they're a buzzkill. You can go out spending 5, 6 hours out in pitch blackness in the woods, no flashlights, no nothing, and nothing happened. And it would come down to the common denominator is that one person was always with you. And what is that one person like? They're just so eager. So it's just a little tidbit to throw out there for your viewers. Going back to
I have
that,
a
go ahead.
Here's a theory about people going out there looking for them intentionally and nothing happens. What if these things have some type of psychic abilities where they can read our surface thoughts?
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely, without a doubt. They
One
Go ahead, I'll
absolutely do
quit
get in your
interrupting.
head.
one guy was even
I'll
talking
quit
on
interrupting.
a another show that was said, you take your children camping, right? And you make your children s'mores. Kids get food all over themselves. Does these creatures think that that's an offering?
You know, well, for one, I'm not a camper. I won't go out there and spend the night with all this stuff.
Ah, come
Not
on,
through,
Shell.
not through the years of stuff that I've been through. I am not going to sleep and be on the menu. I'm not doing it. I definitely would not take my kids in that situation.
They
No,
just want.
I
They
am a
just want.
5-star girl. You
They
want
just
me to
want to
go on a
nibble.
trip? I'm gonna, I'll go out squashing with you, but you know what? I'm gonna go put my head on a pillow like 3 stories up in a hotel at the end of the night. That's how it is.
Just take one for
She
the
was
team, and
smart.
What
She
state am I
was
in? Vicky,
smart.
I'm in Illinois, but my research has not been solely in Illinois. I actually live 15 miles west of the Indiana line, so I've done a lot in Indiana. Wisconsin's 2 hours away. I've done a lot there. Michigan's same thing, 2 hours in the other direction. Done a lot there. Iowa's 4 hours away. Missouri's another 4.5, 5 hour trip. Done a lot there. Kentucky, 4 hours away. Done a lot there. Tennessee, done a lot there. Arkansas, families from Arkansas, done a lot there. Spoke in Honaby, which I have a story about Honaby. I've told you one story about Honaby and the kind of
Right.
events that happened there. But Oklahoma is very active where Mike is. And so I actually had, when I was going there to speak, I had a lot of my students that were coming from all over, wanted to like meet up with each other and meet me in person and stuff like that. So um, there was a lot going on. And this one morning, I had a friend, and I'm not going to use their like last names or anything, but I'll say their first names. Um, Jacob. Jacob was from Texas, and he's a hardworking guy, so he didn't get there like when everybody else did. And he brought with him his wife and his 15-year-old son. Now he's like about 5'8", and I would say he's probably a buck and a half. And his wife was like 5 foot tall, very tiny, but his son was gigantic. At 15 years old, this guy was well over 6 foot tall. He's really big and beefy. So they to go camping at Honaby, they decided they were going to buy a bigger tent than they used to have. So they bought one with 2 rooms on it. And they put all their luggage and everything in one room. But to sleep, they were all sleeping in this one area. And they got there late. So their tent was all the way back towards the woods. Um, and there was lots of people around, and there had been some kids that had been really unruly, and these people hadn't been watching their kids. And so, you know, Jacob thinks he's getting pranked by these kids, and it doesn't end up being that at all, and he gets bit. So they're asleep in their tent, and he gets woke up in the wee hours. He notices the sun has pushed all the way from the edge of the tent to the middle. He's laying right in the middle of the tent. His wife is up against him. So where the tent zips, he has got his back up against that tent. And she's laying on his left arm. And he's just like, reaching over, hitting his son, like, Joseph, move, Joseph, move. And this has happened many times. And his son's just sleeping so soundly, he won't move. And so they're like bunched up in this area of the tent. And all of a sudden, Jacob is woke up again. Something is going underneath him. Like he thought it was a snake. He feels like this rope type thing going underneath him. And he reaches down and he's like grabs hold of it. Like, he's a Texan boy. He's gonna grab hold of it and he's gonna try and like break its neck. If it's a snake, he's not gonna get bit. And so he grabs hold of it and he realizes this thing's not flexible. This is like a hard stick. And so he thinks it's these kids. And so he yells out, "You all better go to bed because in the morning I'm going to have a talk with your dad." And he's yelling at these kids. And there's no reply. And there's no noise out there. And these kids have been noisy unruly. So, there's no laughing, giggling, the type of things that you'd normally, 10, 11-year-old kids would do. So right away, he's kind of like, I never heard anybody run off. I don't hear any language. I don't hear any speaking or whatever. And all of a sudden, have you ever seen one of those things from like Sharper Image back in the day where it was like a bunch of like little nails or something and you put your hand in it or your face in it, it leaves like the impression? He said that this Sasquatch pushes its face into the tent right above his head and he sees its whole entire face against the nylon. It's pushing. And he's just in disbelief. He's sitting there looking at it like this is not happening to me. This thing is real close to me. And so it pulls its face back, and Jacob thought that, oh, well, I'm going to do it back. Let's see what happens. And so he pushed his face back up against the tent. Well, the Sasquatch bumped him on the nose pretty hard. Like he just took his finger and like punched him in the nose with his finger. And Jacob like leaned back, and then when he leaned back, his shoulder went into the other side of the tent by where his head is, where his wife is up on his shoulder sleeping. And this deltoid muscle, the cap of your shoulder is your deltoid muscle right there. The Sasquatch bit through the tent and pinched him very hard. And we took pictures of it and stuff at the time. He had a bruise on his shoulder the next morning, a very big mouth. The teeth were very square and had gaps all around it. So he got bit by a Sasquatch. And so this guy takes it all in stride. The whole reason I met him is he had fear because he had witnessed a dog man get hit. A semi hit it. It flew out in front of their car, landed in the ditch beside him, and it was a whole ordeal. And he was very terrified of like everything out there. He wanted to learn, and he had some stuff happen in the big thicket in Texas, and he thought that it was Sasquatch, and so he was trying to overcome fear. But he really did do what I had guided him to do, and he had overcome that fear. And so he thought this was all a joke the next morning, like, this is funny, I got bit by a Sasquatch. When I got there to speak, I was at my table, and he comes sliding in next to me. He's like, he rips up his shirt sleeve, and he goes, look, I got bit by a Sasquatch last night. And, he's telling me this story, and it was just crazy, But yeah,
So you got two questions. You got Vicky wants to know, have you ever been to Ohio, and is that a hot spot? And then Kelly wants to know, can they hurt you with high frequency?
Yes, I'm actually going to get into one of my stories about frequency and infrasound. And Ohio, yes, been there. Not a lot, though. There's so much going on closer, and Ohio really doesn't have anything to offer me. I'm not real fond of the state, so I don't really go out there much. But I have been there, like two times that I went there and swatched. And
Well, Shel, they say that everywhere I go is my backyard, so I'm sure you've seen how much land I own. So anytime you want to come to Oklahoma, you are welcome to tent camp anywhere down there you want to.
not happening, buddy. Not happening. No.
I'll even provide you with the GoPros.
Oh, I'm sure you would. Nope, not happening. No, I don't. There's reasons why I say I will not camp out and sleep with them. I'm not. No, I may be friendly with them in some ways, but they're definitely. We shouldn't look at them like our buddies or our friends.
That's the worst kind of friend is the one that has you on their menu.
Exactly. And like you go out with your dog and literally I've seen people hike with their dogs and stuff like that. And I'm like, do you even realize that you've got a menu at the end of that leash? I mean, do you realize, they could come up and do something to you and so that your dog gets loose, and then they get your dog or they scare you or something, and the dog gets loose and your dog's eaten or ripped up and whatever, because dogs do point them out. Dogs point them out. And they're going to take that dog out. They're going to see that dog as the enemy. So, yeah, I stopped years ago taking my dogs out in the field.
If you didn't want to do the tent, you could always do the hammock.
That brings up some stories. I had somebody that was insisting on staying in my backyard. They were going to sleep in. You ever hear about like a cot tent where it's like a zip up? It's like a cot and it's got like a little tent over it. And you anchor it down tight to some trees or something. Oh God, he didn't listen to me. He wanted to sleep out there with him. And the other guy that was with him was gonna sleep out the night before, and they were gonna tag team. I'll do one night, you do the other night. Well, the one was out there just in his lawn chair alone. He had one of these lawn chairs that kind of reclined back, and I told him, I said, I'm going to leave the back door open. Oh, no, you don't have to do that. I can just, if I got to go to the bathroom, I just go out here. It'll be fine. I was like, I will leave the back door unlocked. And he's like, okay, all right. He was out there. I came in. He was out there all of 20 minutes, and he's in the house. Is there somewhere I could sleep in here? Yeah, it didn't work. And it's the same with the guy in the tent. Yeah. He didn't make it out there like, maybe an hour, and he was done. He's over it.
Yeah, it usually doesn't take. I've had people, for instance, I had this one guy. He was in the military, and he's like, "Oh, just take me down there. I'm not afraid. I'll take my gun and blah blah." So we went down in the pasture where all this was happening, and we was just getting out far enough where the yard light didn't reach, and there was a barbed wire fence that went right into persimmon trees. It was just really dark. So we get up there, and my cousin looks at me, and he's like, "Did you hear that?" My cousin's already hearing it, and my buddy, the military, the tough guy, he's like, "No, there's not nothing out there. You guys are just a bunch of wimps." And something crawled out from underneath the fence of that barbed wire, and it was an old barbed wire fence that had the wood that was cut instead of the poles. So it's like, that it starts doing that. He starts screaming, shooting up in the air, just shooting crazy. Takes off running toward my granny's old house. We get up there, and the dude had peed plumb through his BDUs and was sitting there saying, "Take me home, take me home, take me home." He never would come back. Never would. He would never go back down there.
Vicky, have been all over Ohio, actually. When I go to a place, I usually like stop here for a little bit, stop there, stop there, stop here. Yeah, I've been all over.
We used
Um,
to do a thing, Shell, where we would do what we called a daylight in, dark out. And Sarah and Kaylee quit me on that. They got a little scared. But what I would do is I would walk into a hot spot on foot, and then I would wait till it got dark, and then I would investigate a little bit and then walk back to the vehicle. Well, they thought that was a bad idea and they stopped going with me, but I've been thinking about starting that up again because I did get a lot of evidence in that.
I always make it a habit to go to a place in the daytime first before I ever do a night event. It's just kind of a thing that I've always stuck to because otherwise you're there in the night and you're like seeing something, it's a shadow, what is it? You don't know. But if you already got to lay the land before you ever go and then stay to the night or come back and investigate at night, it's just a good practice to do.
And always bring somebody you can outrun. That
Yeah, so you
helps.
can, yeah, definitely. Always somebody, yeah, or somebody smaller that you can throw in front of you. Like I've had somebody actually do that, or they throw you out there and they're like, "Oh God," and push you. Oh, get up there, get up there. Yeah, yeah,
Right.
funny. So
Like, or you could take Kaylee. She runs right to them.
yeah, yeah, I've seen people do that too, and it's usually not too good. Yeah, no, not doing that either. You keep your distance, and this is all about respect. Everything you do with these beings, all the way across the board, all of them, is respect, and that's going to go into my next story here. We pushed in on a dog man in that same location. We went out there print hunting. I'm not really looking for dogman evidence. I am not really out there looking to cast the dogman print. I always have been about the Sasquatch, but when stuff comes on your plate, it does, and being into the cryptids, you're gonna do what you do. And so we went out there print hunting, and it was in the afternoon, about 3, 4 o'clock in the afternoon, and it was in the springtime, so the ground was the marsh and stuff was good time of year to get prints that have durable ridges and stuff like that. So we show up and we're looking, and oh geez, there is a dog imprint that is 11 and a half inches wide and 12 inches the other way. And I'm like, oh, we gotta cast that. We gotta cast that. And so we start doing that, and I stayed up on the bridge and was dropping things down to Dave, and so he's doing it. He's casting the print and everything, but along the bank of this thing was um, really, and I've got the picture. I can share it in your group, you know, later. So, and I can show the pictures of the casts and stuff. Um, So in this tall grass, it's anywhere from 8 to 12 feet tall in places, different places. And I start, I'm really used to getting infrasounded. And I start feeling that choking type of feeling, and like my heart rate is going up, and I'm like, God, I feel like I'm getting blasted from somewhere, you know? So I had my camera on me that had a long lens, and I just started looking through it, and I wasn't seeing anything. I never dreamt that it was closer than what we even thought. And here David is down there, bent over, doing his thing, and this tall grass is like right behind him. And you go back about 30 feet, and there is a dog man down there, hunched down, watching him. And so I'm like, uh-oh, this is taking a turn for the worse. I'm trying to yell down at him, and he's deaf. And so he's not understanding what I'm trying to say, and I'm pointing behind him, and I'm like, get out of there, get out. You know, he's not getting it. So I make a call to my mom. I was like, you know what? I said, I need a shovel. I need a box. I said, I'm going to pull this print up one way or another. I'm getting this print. I'm going to dig it up. I'm going to put it in a box. And I said, I need you to come and bring this to me. So she comes out there, and she only lived a couple miles away. So she was real quick about it. She's there. And so I go down there, and I hand the shovel down to David from the side. And I said, here's a box. I said, dig it out, mud and all. I said, we got to go. There's a dog man down here with you. And so I go back up on the bridge, and I'm keeping that dog man's attention on me. He did not like the camera. Before, um, I have had them get really kind of nasty when you have a piece of equipment that they don't recognize, or think it's some kind of weapon or something. And I think that's what he thought. Well, while I'm waiting for her to come, he killed a beaver, and he floated that down the creek towards David. Then the next thing was he killed a rabbit, and that's full. I've got pictures of all this stuff. And so he was like giving us threats. Like clearly he was giving us a way out. He was giving us time to get out, but we weren't fast enough. And so my mom, she's like, Shel, she goes, can I look through that camera? Can you point it on it so I can see it up close? She's like, I've never seen one of these things up close. You know, a dog man is way harder to get close to and get evidence than the Sasquatch. It's just the given. And so I said, sure, mom. And so she took a hold of it, and she's looking at it, and she's fascinated. You know, they are fascinating. I mean, you grow up seeing werewolves on TV and things like that, and mythical, and you just never think that you're going to lay eyes on something like that. And so she's holding that camera, and once again, it's got a lens on there, and so she's looking at it, and she's going, oh my, oh my God. She goes, I feel like I'm choking. And I right away I looked at her, because I knew she just got infrasounded. So it was like an energy blast. He's shooting it. He was shooting at me. He shot it at her. Well, we're distracting. Well, he's scooping it up, and I went down and I reached, grabbed the box, and gave him a hand and helped him pull out real quick, and we got out of there. Well, my mom followed us to our house, and I was on the way home. I was like, "Oh my God, I'm literally going to crack myself." I mean, my stomach just started cramping really, really hard. And so my mom gets out of the car when we get in the driveway. Now, this is not funny. This is not funny at all. My mom is under the same thing. She's like, I've got to go to your bathroom. I was like, well, I got to use that one. I said, you go down the downstairs. I'll go into the upstairs. And so our colons literally just like open up and just dump out. And we both come out of the bathroom, and we're both like nauseated. Next thing you know, we're vomiting. We were both sick for like 3 days, like the worst flu you ever had. And it was from that infrasounding that we got off that dog man. Well, we did get a really good cast out of it. I got a great story out of it. I got the pictures. I got all the evidence is there. But yeah, so infrasounding is definitely something that's not generalized to just Sasquatch. I think it's to all these interdimensional beings. I think they can energy blast, they can manipulate energy, and the result is our human bodies just can't handle it.
On my last Boots on the Ground on the AI Seeking the Truth, the last one I done was like an hour and 16 minutes. And toward the end of it, I felt a lot of pressure in my head, like my head was going to blow off the top of my shoulders.
Do you ever
And
get like a lump in your throat at that time?
yeah, I get like it feels like, yeah, like a knot in your throat. And then I get like a palpitation in my heart. And I've even
Yeah.
had like get a little bit of a nauseous and my legs get a little bit weak too. Like you feel like your legs are like kind of weak, like they don't want to work. And I'm like, what in the hell is going on here?
Yeah, you
It,
get just overall
it's weird.
shaky.
Yeah,
Yeah,
like a low blood sugar feeling too. Like you need
yes.
chocolate or something. Yeah,
Yeah, you just shaky. You get real shaky. Almost like heavy duty anxiety or something.
I've
In
done
Well,
my,
that
so
a lot of times.
so
I've
after
got
that incident, I'm just gonna finish the story real quick.
so
After that incident, that night it had followed us home, and I was not feeling good, obviously. And so my dog wanted out, and I told David, I said, you know what? I seen some activity in the backyard earlier with some red eyes and stuff like that. I said, we're gonna have to leash her. She's a Great Dane, and she is not afraid of anything. And I said, take her out on a leash. And so he went out with her on a leash, and he said there was this weird vibe, and like the dog was not interested in going to the bathroom. She definitely had an agenda, and she drug him. Like she is so strong. She drug him and jumped downwards because the yard is higher than the driveway, and drug him out towards the driveway and pulled him. And as she lands on the driveway, she froze and kind of hunched down, and she's looking at something. As his eyes go, as he's landing behind her, his eyes go to where she is, and that same dog man is standing upright, full upright, and he's up around the top of the garage, his head, but yet he's still bent down on like one knee. And he said telepathically, David said he didn't move his mouth, so it was telepathically. He said, "You don't be looking for my prince. You don't do that, or I will eat that dog." And then it just faded away and was gone. And he came in the house absolutely terrified, and the dog was acting all funny. And I was laying down, so he comes to my room and he's like, "You know what?" He goes, "We're not going to cast Prince no more. Nope, nope, not happening." And I'm like, "What are you talking about? Slow down." And he tells me the story. So they definitely, and they've made some huge prints, and I find it and I go in the house to go get the casting prints and stuff, and go back out, and they'll be like, it'll just be wiped out, and there'll be big claw marks just wiped through the whole thing. So they like know what you're going to do before you do it. And somebody said, well, do they get in your head? And yeah, I think all these things do get in your head. And do they smell like a wet dog? Yes, at times they do smell like a wet dog. Now, I'm sorry, Randy, I'm done with that story. I just want to get out there before I forgot it all.
That's okay. We have a couple questions for you. One was from Vicky. Do you believe the dogman and the Bigfoot are related to the Nephilim, or offspring of the Nephilim?
No, I don't.
And
Um,
and and, and then we have Michelle McGuire. She is asking, what EVD of Michigan do you investigate?
you know what? I've been all over Michigan, but I really liked around Stevensonville. Always had great fun around that area, and there's some great off roads there that are not patrolled and not private property that just like lead up to the Lake Michigan, the beaches and stuff like that. And I just get off on those offshoot roads that you see a road and it looks desolate in one lane, and that would be the way I would go. And so that's why I like that area. Anywhere from the Indiana, Gary, Indiana, all the way up that whole little west border of Michigan there has been my favorite spot.
And I think Michelle McGuire is from Michigan, and she was like asking interest in maybe you wanted to. Michelle McGuire, did you want to know if you wanted to? Maybe you could hook up with her, or maybe meet up with her sometime and investigate. Was that what you were asking
Um,
earlier? Michelle McGuire had a question, and she was talking about. I maybe misunderstood her question, but I think she was wanting to know if you would be interested in meeting with her sometime. I could be wrong on that, but maybe I'm
well,
misreading
she
what.
can just she can contact me. She's on my
Okay,
friends list, so we can talk. Um,
okay. I'm just trying to relate all questions and information to you, since you're not able to see chat,
yeah, thank you. I know Mike has pinned some things up there, and I've been able to see it and answer the questions.
and
Thank you for doing that.
that's all I have for you for now. Unless Mike knows of any other questions.
I haven't seen any. Talking about them being territorial and everything, I wonder if whenever a hunter goes into the woods and you have to urinate or something, and you do that, I wonder if they take that as a like, he's claiming my
That
property
brings up
as
some
his.
stories. That brings up some stories. I when I first started going out, and I did go out to this area a lot, but after this happens, it becomes a hot spot for me. But we had gone out, and we had been go. This one road is like 30 miles of nothing but along the river and woods, and the state park intertwines in and out of that. And, so there's this area there with the state park owned, and they have some outhouses that are like concrete type buildings. So we go in there. We're gonna all use the bathroom, and the one wise guy with us decides that he's gonna just go out here by a tree and go. And I said, I wouldn't do that. And we had been hearing, and there was all kinds of things that were unexplainable happening, and you just shouldn't do that. And oh no, I'm fine. He goes out there. He's back behind this outhouse. He's doing his business. I'm by the car waiting on the two people there in their restroom there, and he's going to the bathroom. And the next thing you know, you hear the scream. He's screaming. He's running, and I'm like, well, what's going on? What's your problem? And he says, something just really growled at me back there, and it threw a rock and hit me in the back of the head when I was urinating. And I was like, I told you, you're marking their territory. It's like, you just don't do that. And like I said, everything's about respect. You got to think out everything here. And so the the Bigfoot that did that probably thought, well, there's the bathroom there. You just wait your turn and use that. You're a human. You don't come in my area and urinate on my tree. Well, so after it did this, um, the two come out of the bathroom, and we're going to head off and go to someplace else. And it just roared so loud that you literally felt it in your chest, like your heart stopped beating for a second. And like it just like it vibrated with the yell, like your heart was not beating right. It was so extremely loud, and it was so close. It was just behind that building, and we were literally probably 15 feet away from it. So yeah, I wasn't happy with somebody urinating in this area.
There's been a lot of people talk about it even urinating on their cars and stuff, and people have actually been urinated on. I've got reports of people saying that there's actually a house. A guy has invited me out to his private property where him and his wife were sitting down. They had just got done feeding the cattle, and all of a sudden his wife just got soaked in urine. And he
Ugh.
said, the only way they could figure out how that would have happened is it would have had to been up in the tree. And I've been invited to come down on their private property and check it out.
I go. That sounds cool. Um, they have routinely urinated on my house. They have urinated on my mom's house. There was one time they did something with, I don't know what being it was because I didn't see it do it. So I'm not going to say it was Bigfoot. I'm going to say it's Dogman, but it was definitely something that had genitals that would have been higher up, if you know what I'm trying to say. And
Right.
so there was the smell about it, and we had taken soap and water out there and we're trying to wash it off. And you couldn't get it off. It was like oily. It was like had musted it or something, or was Marty's territory.
It's almost like they imprint on people, and then they mark, their territory. I had a guy that sent me and I'm going to say alleged because I didn't see it, I didn't put hands on it, but he did send me a photograph of what he said was a burial ground of these creatures, and he did send me a photo that was took by a very powerful camera lens, which appeared to depict the body of a Bigfoot lying deceased on a limb. And at the time this was given to me, this gentleman was a jailer at the sheriff's department, and I must say the photograph is intriguing, is what I would say. But this thing is definitely large, and it appears that it was probably injured whenever it passed away, if it is in fact what it is said to be.
Maybe you could share that picture with me. I would love to look at it.
Sure.
Um,
Yeah.
I have um, I have a picture where the Bigfoot had unalived this dogman that had been running around here for a couple years, creating havoc, and it was multiplying. Like I'd never seen one look like this, but it had just kind of like a Rottweiler appearance to it. It had more of a short muzzle. This thing was enormous, and in the picture I have, and I can share it with you privately. It's not something I have to put out there. But the Bigfoot was like holding it up at the back of its neck and showing me like we took care of the problem. Here it is. They bring it to my backyard, and I'm like, wow. It was propagating a lot with a dog woman, if you want to call it that. I don't know what you want to call these things, but um, all the offspring looked like him, but she looked more like a wolf. But they had broke its jaw. There was like brain matter coming out of its head, and it was clearly dead. Um, and that started like a war with them. And within a year, that next year, we had these enormous dogmen. I've got many different pictures of them, like their heads and the size of them. It's just, it's mind boggling. And you don't even think something like that can exist. And then it comes across and they show up and here they are. And you're comparing, you've got something to compare their height to that you can measure. And you've got a 20-foot tall thing. I mean, it's just, oh, it's insane, but it's real. And so these things were tearing up. I called the summer of 2019 the summer of carnage. And I had taken so many pictures of the carnage and seen so much of it, of these Sasquatch and the wolf creatures getting tore up by these dogmen. And it just got to where I wouldn't even go outside, wouldn't even go in the back at all. And I stayed out of this local area for the field. I would drive off to 30 miles away and do whatever I wanted to do then. But I just stayed out of this area because it was literally heartbreaking because when you've grown up with these guys and then they kind of like make peace with you, they're kind of like your neighbors. And when you see them getting slaughtered, it's kind of hard to watch. I've got pictures of like a juvenile Sasquatch where his arm was completely broken in like a compound fracture type of way, and he's completely unconscious, and they're carrying him. And there was this, and then once again, here's a type, if you want to call it, a Bigfoot, and I can share that picture to you, where it looked like a chimp, and he's like meeting them and greeting them, and he had his hand up, and there was like some kind of like blue light coming from him. I don't know if it's like a healing type of thing he was doing or what the whole scenario was. I just took the picture and got away from the situation because it was really dangerous to even be out there. Um, what happened while that was going on, I had one of my female's dogs was in heat, and we were not even taking the dogs to the back to go to the bathroom. We were bringing them to the front at night because it was just too dangerous. And so I don't know. I don't know if it was something that registered in my head. She's in heat. I need to get her back in the house or what. But I'd taken her first and put her back in the house. And as I turned around, here's two of these dogmen that and I've got pictures of these guys somewhere, but they run up on me and they're like right in my face. But they were looking beyond me and they're looking in the house like, where did it go? So I don't know if it's something that they maybe they breed like dogs do, like they smelled the heat and they wanted to breed, or if they smelled blood and it attracted them to eat. I don't know what the scenario is there, but all I know is that when they seen they couldn't see her anymore, they were just gone. It blinked to my eyes, blinked to the person that was with me. They were gone. You couldn't see them anymore, and it was really unnerving. And we got the other dog in the house and got in, locked the doors, and didn't go back out. But there's been some times where these things just impringe on you or get up in your face and you freeze. You don't move because you don't know what to do. You know you can't turn around and run, you'd be snatched. And you may trigger a response to them that makes them want to attack or chase. So you're just stuck and you can't move. And it's like somebody throws a lead suit on you. And I don't know if they're doing it to me or I'm doing it to myself. I really don't know. But some of these things have been so intently scary that I was just frozen, couldn't move.
And Romans, I think she encountered something, maybe is what she's saying. She says, has Shell encountered a creature not Sasquatch, werewolf, or dogman? More of a cat feel, definitely more beastly than human features, tawny hair, and very aggressive.
Yes, but no, its hair was not tawny. They were black. And yeah, I can definitely share that stuff with her if she wants to like friend me on Facebook or whatever. I'll share that stuff to her.
I've never seen one that looked like a cat. I hope I never do because I have this fear of cats now. Because I have done a little research on them, and I found that if you are found unalive, that they will eat you. So I'm assuming that the larger half cat ones are probably eat you. So that would
You
probably
know,
be a bad thing to run into.
I've got a lot of footage of them, and they not one of them looks the same. They're all different. But I will tell you this: the ones, okay, most of the time they were okay, but then there was these ones that come around that were just intent, and their stare is just like a cat. So you got this thing on two legs, and it's it's up around 10 feet tall, and it's broad, it's beefy, and it's got a cat head on it, and its ears are kind of back, and it's giving you the stare down, just like a cat does. Like you make some noise or you get your cat's attention or it gets fixated on something and it gets this piercing stare at you. Well, I've got photos of those piercing stares and how intense it is. And it's definitely intimidating.
Do you feel that one of these species of cryptids is more dangerous than another, and why?
The dog man, because I've seen its carnage and seen that it would take sometimes
No.
two Sasquatch and a wolf creature, or two wolf creatures and a Sasquatch fighting them to fight them off, or at least injure them to where they'll get back or they'll get away. Um, so the dog man is definitely up there on, yeah, don't mess with it. I have not seen these cat being things interact or fight or whatever with anything else, so I can't attest to what they would be. I can only imagine. And my imagine with that is like pretty primitive as far as what that would look like. Um, the other thing that I definitely think is extremely dangerous is the rake. It's probably I fear dealing with that. I've come to be able to like dog man, you can almost predict what its behaviors are going to be. But these rakes, oh, no, they're just hot for you. It's like they're a modern day vampire. They're if you're on the menu or you're in their sights, they're coming at you and they move quick.
Do you believe? And I had a person. We talked about this on another show, and we were talking about them taking, the children that are taken. Why do you think that they, number one, take the children, and why do you think we find some of those children alive and some of them unalived?
Well, you can only speculate, but I look at it all like all these things. I look at them just like us. There's monsters among us, and then there's some of us that are just so nice that we just give you the shirt off our back. I think that these beings are no different. I don't care what it is. I've run into dogmen that have been harmless. Did they look intimidating? Yeah, sure. But did they do anything that was bad? No. The Gugwe, I got between its young and it, have all the footage to prove all that, even the comparisons. And that thing, it looks extremely intimidating. It's probably got one of the biggest mouths on any of these cryptids that I've seen, and the teeth are just wicked. But it was it was like a summer rain. I mean, it was grunting for its young to come to it. It looked at me and looked away, and I just moved on out of the area, just saying, I'm going, I'm sorry, and just backing up. And I didn't have any problem with it. But then you hear these stories that the Gugly's so horrible, so terrible, So I think you're going to get good and bad all the way across the board with any of these critters.
Kind of like Little Red Riding Hood. Better to eat you with, my dear.
Yeah.
So, Shel, Michael had a question. How tall was the shed that creature was standing over? Do you know how tall that shed was?
Oh, the garage? Is that what you're talking about when it was at the garage? Yeah, the garage is about 12 foot high at the peak, and its head was right up there, and it was down on one knee, so it wasn't even standing. I did get a picture of that critter um, within the next couple days of that event, and he was standing by this really tall tree that had some branches on it that were dead, and so it was easy to see him and see where his head was opposed to that and be able to measure up to that branch. And this is going to blow you guys' mind, but it was about 2 foot taller than that branch, and that branch was right at 20 foot.
Wow.
That's almost like what I experienced at my granny's. It was looking right over the chicken house, and the chicken house was, about 12 foot. And it's just standing there. Just, if you think about it, though, you look out at a chicken house in the dark and you see something like that looking over it. First thing, you don't think ahead because your mind tells you that nothing is going to be that tall. So the first thing that resonates is either there's an owl or a hawk sitting on there, or a coon's got on top of the chicken house. You don't think, that's a head standing behind the chicken house. That doesn't come up first.
Right. It takes a while for the stuff to get in our dictionary and it be the first response we go to. Just like when these people they'll have an encounter and literally usually you're only going to see these things for, split seconds or whatnot. And so then they try to draw it or give a sketch of it or whatever. And because of the human nose and the mouth, the features of it being kind of human, they will depict these things as looking even more human than they are, like the sclera to the eye and stuff like that, where these Bigfoot don't have sclera. They literally have black eyes. And so your brain will fill in gaps of, for what is in your dictionary or what you can accept it as being. You know, just like when I was going into those stories the other night, me and my brother were counting in the night, so we're seeing these shadows and never getting a good. They're really lit up so you can see them, but we always thought it was a 7 foot tall man in a hoodie. You know, that's what was in our dictionary. Bigfoot was not in that dictionary.
Well, that kind of just, gave me a little bit of chills there because whenever I was at the well about 3 weeks ago, that's what I described. What I saw was a big person wearing a black hoodie. So that's what it looked like to me. So now that I know, it probably was not somebody standing there with a hoodie. It was probably one of these creatures ready to peel me like an orange. And I'm sure they,
or,
I'm sure, I'm
or
sure they
eat your
probably could.
or eat your face off.
Yeah, I mean
Yeah,
that's
be the
kind of
facier.
yeah, I mean that's kind of like some Hannibal Lecter stuff. I like your face. Can I wear it? I mean that's
Have
like
you any of the stories of the face eater from the eyewitnesses? Oh my God, they're darn right scary. They shot that thing and their bullets bounced off of it. It did nothing to it. They had no defense. Their firearms were useless against this thing.
at the
I
Girl
mean, that's
Yeah.
Scout, the Girl Scout murders. There was a gentleman in a vehicle that they believed that the Gugway was there, and it got into his vehicle, and there was a witness account that I spoke to a witness that was there and said that this man was shredded, like shredded
Yeah.
inside of his car.
Well, if you ever
And
seen the mouth on these things, the Gugway has, like I said, it had a wicked mouth. It literally reminds you of a catfish as white as it is.
see, that's just, I mean, if something's going to run you down and like eat your face off of you, I mean, it don't get much worse than that. And, I mean, unless they start at your toes or something, but, that's my fear too, is not only getting caught by these creatures or whatever, it's like, what are they going to do to me when they catch me? Is it going to be fast, or are they going to grab me by my legs and like beat me on trees, or, I mean, you don't know what they're going to do. I mean, they may decide to go out there and just play tug of war with you.
You know, I had one get in my house one night, and I know that fear because that's exactly what was going through my head. I started praying that just make it end quick for me and my animals. You know, I thought I was done. I thought I was done. And how it got in, how it got out, I have no explanation for, but it definitely is probably one of the scariest things I've been through with these canine cryptids. Um, it was late at night, probably around 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning. And the way my house is laid out on the inside, it's an L-shaped ranch. Master bedroom would be at the end of the hall, and straight across from that would be your dining room, and go off into your kitchen. And then off the kitchen, you go down 2 steps, and you're at the back door. You can turn left and go down into the basement. If you come back up and you come through that dining room, and you walk straight across the hall, you'd go into my bedroom. Well, it was one of those nights where I'm just not sleeping, and I got to get up early. And so I'm like, I'm turning this phone off, and turning the lights off, and I'm going to go to sleep. So I do that, and then you get that feeling like, oh God, you know what? I might have to go to the bathroom, but if I don't go, I'm probably going to wake up in an hour, go to the bathroom, then be awake, and not get any more sleep at all. Well, I'm going to go ahead and go to the bathroom. Now, I had been awake. I had not heard one noise, no door, no nothing. When you come out of my room, if you turn to the right, there was my office right there. It's got double windows. The backdrop on that would have been on the windows. I had slotted like wooden blinds, and it's big. It's like a big picture window. It's huge. And I had my desk set up to where when you walked into the room, you would be looking at the back of the desk, and I would sit at that desk, and the computer screen and monitor face those windows behind me, and I would do webinars and talk about this stuff with people. And the, my students, they just loved it because they got to see the eye shine in the windows. I get up and go to the bathroom or go to the kitchen, and they would be popping their heads up and their eyes are glowing and they're looking in. And there's lots of screen captures of this. Anyway, so I had that set up. So the monitor is reflecting on the white shades, and it's a 27-inch monitor, so it's very bright. The walls were painted this like light silver color, so it's really lit up. In the corner of the room was one of those old mirrors that like rotate and flip, antique, type mirrors. And it was next to my desk in the far corner from where I would have been looking. So I come out of my room. Now, before this happens, let me back up just a second. That night was the baseball playoffs. And so I got supper ready, and I went outside to tell Dave, hey, dinner's ready. And he was still outside. It was starting to get dark. And he says, something out there is happy to see you. And I'm like, what? And so I look and I can hardly see it because it's getting dark. So I used my phone and I scrolled in on it and I'm like, oh, wow, it's waving at me. And it was this, I don't know if it was a dog man or wolf creature. I mean, I've never been able to decipher what that thing was. I've gotten a few pictures of it. I've actually watched that thing grow up from the time when it was waving at me, when it would have been just a little bit taller than me, to where then it becomes big. So this thing was like probably a juvenile of some kind, but it had waved at me and I got that picture. And I said, all right, well, that's cool. Come on, let's go eat because playoffs are going to start. So I watched the playoffs that night, and I get up to go to the bathroom. Now, you would take one step out of my room to the right is my office, and two steps to the left would be the bathroom. When I stepped out of my room, right there in my peripheral vision, what should be pure white and reflecting these big wooden shutter things, because around here at night, man, it's like Fort Knox. I keep all the windows, doors, everything covered, or these things will look in at you. I purposely leave the blinds up sometimes, and just sit in the dark and put something in the window that'll attract them, like some kind of decoration, like these lit pumpkins or something like that, and they'll come right up to the windows, and I get footage of them. And I can show you guys this stuff. It's absolutely crazy. So I don't like being looked at. So the shades are pulled. It's all white. The monitor, what would have bumped the mouse and turned that monitor on and had that room lit up, had me look in there. That brought my attention. There's light coming from this whole room that shouldn't be there. It should be dark. The monitor should be off. So something had bumped the mouse and it had illuminated everything. And that mirror being right there just reflected the light, making it even brighter. So I instantly look and I see the same being that had waved at me. And now it's turned to the right a little bit, like it wanted to turn and run, but I had nowhere to go and it just froze. It's frozen in this position. And my immediateness is like, oh my God, oh my God, that's in my house. And so I go into the bathroom and I pull the door shut and I immediately just start praying. I'm like, oh God, please, it's going to tear us up here. Just let it take us out quick. Let it be as pain-free as possible. If it's going to get my animals, don't let them suffer. And I am praying. And then it dawns on me, I've got to come out of here. I've got to try to get my animals to come to me. I'm going to get them to my room. I don't know what else to do. So I definitely didn't go to the bathroom. I didn't even think I had to go anymore. Nothing even crossed my mind but to stand there and pray. And so I thought, act like I've done something, flush the toilet, turn the water on, give it more time to get away or get away from us or get out of the house or whatever it's going to do. And so I do that. And then I take a deep breath and I have a plan. My door to the bathroom opens outward into the hall. So I thought, when I open that door outward, I'm going to purposely turn to my left so I can roll my eyes up towards it and get a better look of this thing. And when I do, I call for my cat. I'm like, Linka. And yeah, I'm just hoping that Linka will come and follow me into the bedroom wherever she is. Well, I go into this mode of I'm looking up at it, and it's still in that same position, like it froze. Like it's just like if I don't move, she won't notice me, she won't see me. And I'm like, oh God, it's not gone. So I run into my bedroom, I jump in the middle of the bed, and now my cat and my dog, cats and dogs don't typically hang out together, especially my cat, because she's kind of mean. My cat is up at the headboard with my dog curled up in the middle of the bed, like they're huddled up together, like they've already seen it and they know. And so I literally lay in the middle of that bed and pull the covers up to my nose and lay there holding my breath for hours, hours, not hearing anything, just waiting for anything to happen. Nothing, no noises, no anything. And then it starts getting daylight. And finally, the sun is up all the way, and my room is lit, the house is lit. And I get up real quietly and I tentatively walk out into the hall and I look into the office and it's not there. And so I looked around the rest of the house real quietly, casually, and like, okay, it's gone. But oh my God, that was intense. That's probably one of my scariest moments that I've ever lived through.
When they start coming into the house, that's a whole different ball game. We had them, come into the house, and it. The house is supposed to be your safe place, and whenever they start invading that, it makes you live in fear, and nobody should really have to live in fear. And
Yeah,
it's just crazy. Shell, I could
my
talk to you all night. I mean, God, I've had you on
I
here
have a
almost two
lot of
hours.
years. Yeah, I have a lot of years of experience, just at this house by itself, where a lot of the stuff has happened has been 10 years. And then you've got, another 30 years there where I was off, chasing stuff down, trying to figure it out and everything. So, yeah, I have a lot of stories and a lot of experiences. And I'm not shy to help anybody if they want to, come to me, message me, whatever. You want to talk one on one and hear some of the stuff that I won't share out in the public or live. I'm game to do that. And, I'm happy to share you pictures or examples of anything I talked about, or you tell me, hey, you talked about this story. What evidence did you have to go with that story? And sometimes I have it, and sometimes I didn't. Like that night that it was in my house, there was no way I was collecting any evidence on that thing. I didn't even know what to do. So, there's some stories that it's just a story, whether you believe it or not. It's up to you. I have no reason to fabricate it. And it definitely is being vulnerable, speaking out about it and saying, hey, that thing got in my house and the doors were locked. How did it happen? So I'm open to whatever. I'm not going to judge people if they come to me with some wild story, because I definitely have been in those shoes where, I've been quiet for years on it, not wanting to tell anybody because I think they would, judge me for it. And, at this point in the game, I just don't even care about that anymore. I don't care what people think. I don't, I'm here. It's happened. If you believe it, great. If I helped you, great. If you don't, move on. I don't care one way or the other.
Shell, I will say this. I believe you. People can disregard your stories or your encounters at their own peril. And that's my opinion based on my encounters.
Thank you.
Yep. Once you see them, then I mean, you know they exist. Shell, we want to have you back on another show for sure. I mean, we could go on and on and on and on and on. And I know Jesse's. I think she's going live tonight doing something. And she always waits for me to get off, so I don't want to hold her too late into the night. Uh, what would you say, Shell, for everybody around the Halloween time right now? What advice would you give them, and your final thoughts?
My final thoughts are never say never, and never be so full of yourself to think that you're going to handle this situation, or you're going to be in control of the situation at all times, or you got a firearm and it's going to work for you. I'm here to tell you, no, it's not. It's probably going to get you killed. Secondly, bear in mind, these things mate this time of year. Now, I don't know the gestation on dogmen, but with Sasquatch, I do. And they do mate in the fall. They have particular yells and screams and ways they go about it. And this is not a time to push in on them. It's a time to observe, stay on the paths, don't get off the beaten paths. We didn't even get into some of those stories I was going to share. Getting off the beaten path can be very detrimental to your health. And I'll share that with you on the next story time. But definitely this time of year, you need to up your caution. You've got Bigfoot migrating. You've got them moving from the north to the south. And dogmen's all over the map. The weather doesn't affect them. It's been 30 below zero. And I've literally watched them just running around and get, all kinds of evidence and footage from it. So, yeah, just be careful, be mindful. If you hear about an encounter and you're going to this specific place thinking that, oh, it's there, I'm going to go, I'm going to see something, chances are it may not be a hot spot, and what you're seeking out may not be what you find. So, once again, really think things through before you put yourself into a situation that you are not equipped to handle. Because just like with Mike, he's a very experienced man, but what happened to him after one of those lives a couple of weeks ago, in them opening up all his car doors, and just they had no shyness about them at all. What would they have done if he didn't have some kind of protection that would scare them off? I also want to say this: if you're not somebody, going to use a firearm because you believe that's going to help you, one thing that will help you, and one thing that I always carry out there if I'm doing this stuff at night, is an air horn. An air horn will make a dog man run off. Believe it or not, an air horn is probably your best weapon. Loud noise, horns, just lay on it really loud. They will run, they will go. Bigfoot, not so much, but these canine cryptids have some sensitive ears. So keep that in mind. Something that you might want to put in your backpack would be an air horn, or put it on the outside of it so you could grab it quickly. Bear spray is another thing that you need to carry. So that's all I got to say. I want to thank everybody for putting up with me and all my outrageous stories. And I want to thank Mike and Randy for another great show.
Oh, it's my pleasure. And you will come back, right? We'll have you back for sure.
I'll think about it.
We'll get you on here, and we'll talk about the beaten path next time. I think we'll go down that next time.
Okay, sounds cool. All right, you
All
guys
right.
have a great night. Thank you again.
You too. Good night. God bless you.
Bye-bye. You too. Bye-bye.
Randy, what do you say, my man?
Scared is asking you to get an air horn.
Get you an air horn, some bacon, and
And some bear spray wouldn't hurt you, just in case. Because
right.
if there's like more than one of them, I don't think you're going to be able to kill them all before they get you. If you make them mad.
Yeah, I think if they're coming after you, you're done. And tomorrow night, we are boots on the ground tomorrow night, guys, in the chat before y'all run out of here. Boots on the ground tomorrow night. No, Sarah's not going to go with me. I've tried. I've begged her and pleaded and bought her chocolate, and she's sitting right up here. Sarah, are you going tomorrow night, boots on the ground? No.
Be nicer.
Randy said, if we're nicer, will you go tomorrow night?
No, if Mike is nicer.
And I'm nicer.
And he listens to you. And he listens to you.
She said she can't. She's out of Depends. but she would otherwise.
Well, maybe one day you'll get some constant bait to go with you, or a constant companion to go with you.
We will. We will for sure. Randy, you want to walk us out of this one, man, and we will wrap up a little over 2 hours tonight again.
Ladies and gentlemen, members, subscribers, and everybody else, and the moderators, we couldn't have a show without y'all. We want to thank each and every one of you for joining us tonight. I enjoyed tonight's show. I enjoyed your company. And again, we appreciate you joining us. Y'all have a good night. God bless each and every one of you. God bless your families, and y'all have a beautiful night.
Kentucky Blue-Eyed Girl, good to see you too. We're always glad to see you, and I hope you can recatch. This was a good show, so you'll want to catch it from the beginning. But always good to see you, Kentucky Blue Eyes. Guys, the next thing we got going on is tomorrow night. We got a Boots on the Ground. Our next guest appearance will be the 17th. Tyler is going to join us live and share 2 of his encounters he's had. And then the 13th, which will be Monday, we have an AI Seeking the Truth Boots on the Ground. And then for all the members of the YouTube members, your names are in green. The 26th, you get your own Boots on the Ground, members only. So if you want to join the members only Boots on the Ground, it will be the 26th, and you will have to be a member to join that Boots on the Ground. Guys, we're going to wrap this one up. Again, please keep my family in your prayers. Like I said, 2 years ago today, the lies tried to wreck my family. They thought we were defeated, and what they didn't realize is my father promised me many things, and he told me he would prepare me a table in front of my enemies. And my father is not a liar. Hunter will be home. I confess it in the name of God, and I believe it. And we're going to receive that soon. A lot of good people have came forward. Thank you so much for your support, guys. We could not do this without you. Good night. God bless, and we'll see you tomorrow night.